Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grid Live News. Once the racing season starts, we'll go back to our Grid Live pre-race program, and that will include the IMSA Rolex 24-hour race at Daytona. Joe Samaniego here, along with Kobe Lambeth from the podium finish. We'll have a lot of news to cover, including the report on social media and motorsports. Santino Ferrucci entering NASCAR. And we encourage everyone watching to participate in the chat room with your questions. We'll do the best we can to answer. Now let's start with Formula One and Haas F1.
Haas F1 team principal Gunther Steiner published an article for Motorsports media outlet The Race, acknowledging the ongoing controversy surrounding Nikita Mazepin. As we all know, Mazepin has been under fire by many for inappropriately groping a woman on video, and this led to the hashtag We Say No to Mazepin movement, calling for him to lose his Formula One drive. With Haas F1 saying they handled it internally and Mazepin would remain with the team, a lot of people felt like justice wasn't served. And in Gunther Steiner's statement, he says that Nikita did something that he shouldn't have done and apologized for the situation, although the apology was deleted from Nikita's social media accounts. And Steiner goes on to say that Nikita knows his actions were wrong and Haas is working with him to make sure he's educated and learns from this situation so he can focus on his Formula One career and never do something like this ever again. And previously, Haas F1 said they wouldn't make any further comment on this situation. Now the team principal himself has put together this piece in the race. Did Gunther Steiner make the right decision to publicly acknowledge the Mazepin controversy, penning words coming directly from him?
It's an interesting decision to make. I do see it as an attempt to try to help public relations with Haas F1, saying that we have taken some action and we're going to help Mazepin learn from this. Same time, though, it does raise a lot of questions. Mazepin coming to Formula One, he should have been growing and evolving as a driver and professionally as a human being before getting to Formula One. It's a really Haas F1 role to help a driver at this point, the pinnacle of motorsports, to get to the point where they know what's right and wrong. It's really interesting message from Haas F1, and it raises the questions, especially if this was just, say, an engineer or entry-level position that had the same mistake. Well, I wouldn't say mistake, the same kind of horrible actions. Will they be given another opportunity to prove themselves like Mazepin's doing?
I think it was a good idea for Gunther to come out and publicly address the situation because a lot of people have been saying that Haas is just letting this go and they're not even caring about what's going on. And it's really telling that Gunther felt like he needed to make a public statement about this because, as I mentioned, Haas F1 said that they weren't going to make any more comments on this situation moving forward. But now the team principal comes out and acknowledges the situation. I think it just goes to show that Gunther knows that this is a serious situation. And also, after reading this piece, I had more questions, like wondering like what are they doing behind the scenes to make sure that Mazepin is going to learn his lesson from from the horrible act they committed. And although we're unlikely to know, a lot of people are going to continue to be wondering if you're so serious about what's going on here with Mazepin, what are you actually doing to show him that this is wrong and this is something that you should never ever do again, not just on camera but off camera as well. It doesn't matter whether the camera's rolling or not. He should have never touched that woman like he did. And showing support to Mazepin, Gunther basically said he wouldn't kick someone when they're down, but he made it perfectly clear that Haas isn't letting Mazepin get away with this. Gunther described the Russian driver as a young man who simply needs to grow up. He called this an ongoing situation, and the team isn't moving on from this situation like nothing happened. Taking responsibility for an incident is very important to Gunther. He claims that Nikita has taken responsibility for his actions instead of being in denial. While refusing to reveal what measures were taking place behind the scenes to handle the situation, Gunther did admit that people internally at Haas were not pleased at all with Nikita's actions, and he's Gunther, aware of the outcry on social media, so it's safe to assume that he knows about the hashtag We Say No to Mazepin movement. By deciding to keep Nikita Mazepin at Haas, despite large calls for the team to drop him, do you think the team is making a big mistake here and still sending out the wrong message?
I do believe they're still making the mistake in keeping Mazepin around. I know if this was a driver or anybody else that didn't have financial backing, will they still have the same outcome as Mazepin? That's really hard to tell. Initial thoughts are no, they'd probably be terminated. And especially when we look at how Mazepin had handled the situation, the apology is deleted. In fact, the entire social media is pretty much blank now, especially on Twitter. It's really just a situation where with Haas F1, Mazepin, I feel there's no matter what they do, there's always going to be doubt and a lot of questions. Public trust, I feel like that's as long as they have Mazepin there, and even after Mazepin left, people are still going to be questioning Haas F1 and their values. And I think this is overall just not going well for Haas F1 and Gunther trying to save face for the team.
Yeah, I don't think it's going well for Haas F1 either. As we all know, this has been a massive PR disaster for Haas F1, and their public image has honestly been absolutely obliterated and destroyed. I don't really know how they come back from this, because the logical thing after such a serious situation like this would be to drop Nikita Mazepin, and they're obviously not going to do that for financial reasons. I hate to say, but that's true. And moving forward, when you don't punish drivers for something so serious like this, in the future, something like this may happen again, and the driver's going to continue to keep getting away with it. So I think Haas sent the wrong message there, and if they wanted to be on the right side of things here, they would have made the right decision to move on from Mazepin, because otherwise, future situations, drivers are gonna get away with stuff like this, and that would be really sad and unfortunate. And next, we're going to talk about a current NASCAR Xfinity Series team potentially looking to move up to the NASCAR Cup Series someday full time. And we've known for a while that Matt Collick, owner of Collick Racing, wants to move full time to the NASCAR Cup Series one day. Right now, the team has 3 full time entries in the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Jeb Burton, Justin Haley, and AJ Allmendinger. Last year, Collick made its Cup debut in the Daytona 500, finishing 13th with Xfinity regular Justin Haley. Starting with the 2021 Daytona 500, Collick will run a partial schedule this year that will include road courses and super speedways. And as we all know, in 2022, we have the next gen car arriving, and there's a lot of excitement and hype surrounding the 7th generation Cup car. We've seen Live Fast Motorsports 2311 Racing enter the series. Spire Motorsports is planning to hit the ground running with a more competitive organization heading into 2022. College racing running select cup races through 2021 should be beneficial if they decide to go full time the following year with the highly anticipated next gen car.
A lot of anticipation for that next gen car, and definitely one of the big news that came out, and it got a lot of people very excited about, is that Santino Ferrucci is coming to NASCAR. IndyCar driver Santino Ferrucci will make the switch to NASCAR competition after everything fell apart with Dale Coyne Racing with sponsorships problems. Ferrucci now has a home in the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Sam Hunt Racing. Sam Hunt Racing, of course, will be a number 26 Toyota Supra, and he'll be running 20 Xfinity races. We'll have some support from TRD. He'll make his Xfinity debut at Homestead Miami Speedway on February 27th. It was previously reported that he would sign with our Motorsport instead, but Sam Hunt Racing ended up being the answer for Santino Ferrucci. According to Bob Pockris from Fox Sports, Ferrucci's Xfinity program will primarily focus on intermediate tracks, including a super speedway and a few short track, but no road courses. With Santino Ferrucci having a lot of experience on the road courses, are you surprised that it's not part of his schedule?
Oh yeah, Joe. I'm very surprised that Santino Ferrucci isn't scheduled to run road courses in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. As we all know, in IndyCar and open wheel competition, for the most part, they race on road courses, and we've seen in the past that drivers coming from sports cars or open wheel who've run the stock cars on road courses, if they can get in the right car, they can be very competitive, because that's exactly what they're used to. But when you get on the oval tracks, obviously that's a different beast. than driving an Indy car on an oval when you compare it to a NASCAR Xfinity stock car. So I do understand wanting to get Santino experience on the oval tracks in a stock car since he has very limited experience doing that. I know he tested I believe it was a super late model with Kaz Grala in free race cars several weeks ago to start his stock car learning curve. So I do think it's very important that they focus on getting his NASCAR oval program up to speed, considering most of the schedule are ovals. But I think if they had put a road course on Santino's schedule, something he's more familiar with, maybe he would be more competitive and be able to go out there and maybe finish in the top 15 or even a top 10. And with TRD support, it's going to be really interesting to see how competitive Santino Ferrucci will be with Sam Hunt Racing.
Not having a road course is just a really strange move. I can't recall a driver with road course experience, open wheel experience, coming to NASCAR and saying, "Oh, we're not going to do any road courses." That's a great opportunity to really show your skills, especially when it comes to road course racing. Now that NASCAR is going to include more road courses, I feel like this is a really great opportunity to show, yeah, the ovals, I'm still learning that. I don't have the greatest finishes. This is my first year. But if we have a rain race, especially Road America, a track where Santino has raced with Indy cars, he could be a surprise winner in his rookie season and really not only, steal the headlines, get sponsorship attention. So I think it's a really odd move to not have any road courses. Now that we know he's going to be focusing on intermediate tracks and some short tracks, what should we expect from him in NASCAR?
Well, with Sam Hunt Racing, they've been a team on the rise for a while, and especially now that they're going to have some support from TRD, I'm going to go out and say we should expect Santino Ferrucci to at least finish in the top 20. And I'm going to say when he gets a few races under his belt, I think the first few races in stock cars it might be a little bit of a struggle for him, and it's going to be even worse since there's not going to be a lot of practice and qualifying this season in NASCAR. I know we're going to talk a little bit about that later in the program. So for a driver coming from open wheel racing and entering stock car without practice and qualifying, it's going to be a huge learning curve for Santino Ferrucci. So it would not surprise me first few races in the Xfinity Series, he's going to go out there struggle and have a hard time. But with TRD support coming in, I think we should expect Santino Ferrucci to at least average a top 20 finish in the races that he's going to be in, and maybe once he gets more comfortable, he'll move towards the top 15, and hey, maybe he'll surprise us and get a top 10 finish. But I definitely think it's going to be a steep learning curve for Santino Ferrucci in NASCAR.
A very steep learning curve. I definitely agree with you when it comes to that, especially with the TRD back in. I see them at least for sure top 20s. The consistency is going to be hard. That's always a challenge, especially such a long season, 20 races. Of course, that's going to be longer than any IndyCar season recently. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he does. Pockris did say that Ferrucci told him that he will be interested in returning to the Indy 500 in the month of May, but only in the right good equipment. Ferrucci has 2 starts in the Indy 500, both of them solid finishes, 7th place in 2019 and 4th place in 2020. If an Indy 500 ride was to open, where do you see Santino landed?
With the way the IndyCar lineup is shaping up for 2021, the only logical destination I could see for Santino is potentially Andretti Autosport. As we all know, they always run an extra car for the Indy 500, and that seat is always highly coveted. It's going to be interesting to see who gets that ride, but I think that might be Santino's best option to land a competitive ride for the Indy 500. Otherwise, I don't really see him running the greatest spectacle in racing in 2021, and honestly, that would be such a shame because you just said it. Santino finished 7th and 4th in the Indy 500. It seems like he's just getting better in that race. And when he made his first start in 2019 as a rookie, I remember he was impressing a lot of people, especially Dale Earnhardt Jr., who was wowed by his aggressive, bold moves. And Santino is an aggressive driver, and then finishing 4th in 2020. It seemed, things were just looking up for Santino Ferrucci in the Indy 500. And it'll definitely be a strange sight not to see him in the race in 2021.
It will be really strange not to see him in that race in 2021 for sure. Definitely, this is going to be a story we'll be following with Santino Ferrucci and where he ends up. And one big story for 2021 coming out of the NASCAR Cup Series. For the second consecutive season, NASCAR will have a limited number of practice and qualifying sessions. 2021, 8 NASCAR Cup Series will hold practice and qualifying. This includes the Daytona 500, Bristol Dirt Race, Circuits of America, Coca-Cola 600, Nashville, Road America, Indianapolis Road Course, and the Phoenix Championship Race. So it's a mix of new tracks and some big races, plus, of course, the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, and the Coca-Cola 600, of course, the longest race of the year. The rest of the races won't have practice or qualifying. Just line them up and race. Limited practice might be determined to rookie drivers, especially drivers such as Chase Briscoe and Anthony Alfredo, who, of course, they're coming to some tracks they haven't raced at before. Some of the most talented drivers coming out of the Xfinity Series can still struggle in the Cup level. We've seen it time and time again. Just because you have Xfinity Series championships and wins doesn't guarantee success in the Cup level. For new teams like 2311 Racing and Trackhouse Racing, this is a great opportunity. Bubba Wallace, Daniel Suarez, they're going to be in different vehicles. Bubba Toyota, Daniel Chevrolet, they could get some track time, find something, make the car a little bit more competitive. And it happened last year, the same thing we're going to be doing again, where the drivers, for them, they're just going to show up and race. So definitely having that little bit of extra track time is going to be beneficial for the rookies, the drivers I have mentioned with the new teams, and especially for the new tracks. It's going to be really interesting to see how 2021 plays out.
Davide Brivia, the Suzuki team boss, will depart MotoGP, expecting a switch to Formula One, moving to Alpine as the CEO. The rebranded team that used to be known as Renault. Alpine will have Esteban Ocon returning to the team, alongside new teammate Fernando Alonso making his Formula return following a sabbatical. Brivio has years of experience in World Superbikes and MotoGP. Recently, he helped Suzuki return to being a World Championship winning program, with Joan Mir claiming the 2020 MotoGP title. Without a doubt, Brivio is a program builder, and that's something that Alpine needs as they continue their march to the front of the Formula One grid. Joe, how big of a loss is this for Suzuki, and can Brivio take Alpine to the next level?
It is a surprising loss for Suzuki. He's come into Suzuki MotoGP program and has made them essentially a championship caliber team. Now to go to Alpine F1, this is going to be huge. He's going to have Fernando Alonso there next year. Going to have Esteban Ocon. Esteban Ocon got his first podium at the Bahrain race. I believe it was the outer ring race. So definitely that team has some good momentum going for it. Now to have him there might be some growing pains here and there. But I definitely think he's going to be really good for the team. Of course, Formula One, just like MotoGP, you have a select few teams that are very much at the front. So to see how he took Suzuki to the front, I think Alpine is definitely going to be a team to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Alpine's going to be a team to watch in Formula One, and losing Davide Brivio for Suzuki, this is going to be huge because he did a great job building that program into a winner and taking home the championship with Joan Mir. It was incredible what he was able to do with Suzuki and take that program forward. And as I mentioned, Alpine they've been getting a lot better when they were Renault in the last few years, and they're getting closer and closer to the front of the grid. And bringing a program builder into your organization like this, I think this is only going to be a wonderful move that's going to work out for them over time. And it's really going to be interesting to watch this entire story play out, and Brivia leaving MotoGP for Formula One. When the opportunity comes knocking like that, MotoGP is a highly respected world championship all across the world. But when the Formula One opportunity comes, it's something that you should definitely take. And we've seen drivers in the past in other series like IndyCar. I've seen some drivers say if the Formula One opportunity came knocking, they would absolutely take it because whether you're a driver racing in Formula One or on the business side of Formula One, when that opportunity comes knocking, that is definitely something that you should take. And next, gonna look at a surprise seat swap in Super Formula. At the end of the 2020 season, Naoki Yamamoto became a three-time Super Formula champion in Japan. Yamamoto shared hardware with his Dandelion Racing team. However, a surprise occurred at the postseason test session. Yamamoto didn't participate in the test with Dandelion Racing, but he surprisingly tested with Nakajima Racing. According to Jamie Klein from Motorsport.com, Naoki Yamamoto and Tadasuke Makino are tipped for a seat swap, with Yamamoto making the permanent switch to Nakajima and Makino replacing the 2020 series champion at Dandelion. After enjoying such a successful season with Dandelion, if this ends up being confirmed, Yamamoto will go out and try to win a fourth championship with a brand new team.
Chris Moniz started the new year with big news. He was joining Hendrick Motorsports' spot for Kyle Larson. This was shared on his Twitter account, and he received many congratulatory messages. However, past tweets from Chris changed the tone from being welcome to not welcome. Those tweets involved sharing the hashtag promoting the QAnon conspiracy theory, which the FBI has said is false, misleading, and is deemed a threat to U.S. national security. But another outcry was tweet Chris liked that were against Bubba Wallace recently. The outcry grew to a point where on January 5th, it was confirmed that Chris was no longer with Hendrick Motorsports for the 2021 year. This story is not unique, as many people across many professions have been disciplined and even terminated due to their social media account. So where is the line between expressing personal views on social media? Is it fair for employees to be aware of employees' personal activities outside of work? And how should upcoming talent in motorsports interpret recent issues, especially expressing personal opinions? For a start, social media accounts are set up for personal use. Communicate with family, friends, and meet people, and share information. However, despite the ability to make information or post privately, action can still be shared without permission.
So right now, I'm walking Kiska at her favorite park here. Park is open for the public, anybody could come here, and of course, if I wanted to, I could shout from the top of my lungs my personal opinion, whether it's political, tell everyone about the grid network, whatever. It's public domain. I could also use this park space to meet somebody, have a one-on-one conversation. Despite that being a private conversation, still anybody could eavesdrop, hear what I'm saying, and share that with somebody else. Very similar with social media.
There have been cases where liking a post has raised concerns about a user. Liking the post is not only seen as personally liking a post, but also acknowledging the view or opinion expressed. Social media is a useful outlet to share our voices, but depending on what is said, it could come back and the user, could face consequences. With the increased use of social media, there has been an increase in employees being disciplined or terminated because of social media activities. In 2013, a senior director from a communication firm was fired after tweeting a racist joke. She tweeted that before boarding her flight. When the 11-hour flight landed, she had been informed that she had lost her job. People have also lost their job because of posts by another person, but they were in the photo. In 2017, a cyclist was photographed flipping off the motorcade of President Trump. When the post went viral, she was identified because she wore a cycling shirt with the employer's logo on it. The employer terminated that employee the next day. This has also seen government officials and people in the public sector lose out on opportunities. In 2019, the newly elected governor of Alaska had an appointed member of his cabinet fail confirmation in the state of Alaska legislature. The reason why was because he was a ghost hunter and used social media for his ghost hunting business. He wasn't viewed as a serious candidate and wasn't approved by the members of the legislature. This included allies of the governor because they were all in the same political party. In Chris's case, the tweet shared and liking the conspiracy theory was a red flag, especially with NASCAR's mission of being a more inclusive sport for a diverse audience. Another major red flag was liking the post that negatively targeted Bubba Wallace for bringing positive changes. Along with the fact that driver Kyle Larson has no sponsor, pitting Hendrick Motorsports in a situation where they had to do what was in the best interest for their team and their business partners. This is different from cancel culture, where a person, people, or a group are essentially boycotted for opinion. The earliest example of cancel culture in mainstream media was in 1992. Sinead O'Connor unexpectedly ripped a photo of Pope John Paul II on Saturday Night Live. This sparked an outrage, boycott of her music, and she was even booed off the stage in following events. In 2003, the Dixie Chicks criticized President Bush proceeding to war with Iraq. Their hit song Landslide went from number 10 to 43rd, and again a big boycott of their music. Cancel culture is not new. Social media is a new means of communication, which becomes a new way of spreading opinions and a new way of spreading words of a boycott. So especially with so many potential motorsports job opportunities, how should social media be viewed? Think of it as a public park or space. Yes, you have the freedom to post whatever you want, but will you warn that potential employers, business partners, and opportunities may not look so fondly on past posts, like the Alaskan Ghost Hunter example. Private chat rooms are not private. Information can still be shared, just like how an eavesdropper listening to a private conversation in a park, someone could take a screenshot of a private conversation and post that publicly on the internet. Social media is a privately owned business, so they can't exercise the right to suspend or ban users from their program. The United States does have the First Amendment, freedom of speech, protection from the government. Still, the government can't arrest individuals for threatening and national security issues. The First Amendment doesn't protect you from private businesses asking you to leave. It doesn't protect you from people deciding to boycott you because of an unpopular opinion that you shared. Social media is a very useful tool in connecting people globally and especially members of the motorsports community. People can share their opinions, ideas on how to make motorsports better. We hope, continuing on forward, that we can see platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and other social media continue to grow and advance the motorsports community. Looking forward to 2021 season. Now it's time for some quick takes.
Enter Europol competition announced its 2021 FIA World Endurance Championship driver lineup. Alex Brundle, Ringer van der Zande, and Kuba Smichowski will co-drive the number 34 Orca 07 Gibson LMP2. Unfortunately, Ringer van der Zande won't be able to participate in the season opener at Sebring due to his IMSA commitments at Chip Ganassi Racing. As a result, Helio Castroneves will make his WEC debut in the 1,000 miles of Sebring as van der Zande's replacement.
Ex-IndyCar driver Zach Beach found a new home in IMSA. Beach is joining the number 12 Vassar Sullivan Racing Lexus GT3 in IMSA alongside Frankie Monteclub, replacing Townsend Bell in the full-time lineup. It was previously announced that Jack Hawksworth and Aaron Talitz would return to the sister car number 14. After racing the NTT IndyCar Series full-time for the past 3 seasons, Beach will look to start a new chapter in sports car racing.
RSS Racing announced that Kyle Sieg will run a partial schedule in the ARCA Menard Series. He'll start off the 2021 season by competing in the season opener at Daytona. Last year, he made a few starts in ARCA, earning a top 10 finish at Lucas Oil Raceway. And Kyle Sieg, if you recognize the last name, is the younger brother of NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Ryan Sieg.
DGR Crosley has changed their name to David Gillian Racing. David Gillian formed a partnership with businessman Johnny Gray, who is the grandfather of current DGR driver Tanner and Taylor Gray. DGR will compete in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, ARCA Menard Series, and Cars Late Model Stock Tour in a factory-backed effort by Ford Performance. Former co-owner and CEO Crosley Brands Bolamwini Mestes will start with DGR and marketing roles.
An old name familiar to NASCAR fans and short track fans all across the country will be competing in the ARCA Menard Series season opener at Daytona. Rich Bickle will compete with Empire Racing Group, driving the number 45 Chevrolet. The five-time winner of the Snowball Derby will make his first ARCA start since 1996. Bickle has 79 truck starts, 54 at Xfinity, and 85 in Cup. At Daytona, he'll be teammate with Sean Corr, who'll drive the number 8 Chevrolet.
One of the big things, of course, we encourage everyone to ask questions. Definitely comment in the chat room. It's definitely one of the big things we like to hear from you is your opinions. Definitely we'll be continuing some more quick takes. Here's Kobe with the next quick take.
Ahead of the 2021 Supercar season, Tickford Racing and Lee Holdsworth parted ways. After 15 consecutive years of racing full-time in supercars, the journey has come to an end. In a statement, Holdsworth said the move was shocking and felt premature, but grateful for opportunities to have a long career. Holdsworth is focused on finding an endurance role for the Bathurst 1000. Shortly after losing his supercars drive, he announced that he'll drive an Alfa Romeo in TCR, Australia, to kick off a brand new chapter in his racing career. Alfa Romeo Racing Formula One reserve driver Robert Kubica will make his Rolex 24 debut with FIA World Endurance Championship Team High Class Racing. The European team kicks off their 2021 racing program at Daytona in LMP2 before the start of their WEC season. Ferdinand Habsburg, Anders Jordbach, and Dennis Anderson complete the lineup. And Jota Sport announced its 2021 FIA World Endurance Championship and Asian Le Mans Series driver lineup. XF2 driver Sean Gillel will leave his open-wheel career behind and switch to sports car racing with Jota. Two Formula E drivers, Stoffel Vandoorne and Tom Blomqvist, join him for the full WEC season. In the Asian Le Mans Series, Gillel will compete for the LMP2 championship at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. He'll co-drive with Vandoorne in the first two races, then Blomqvist will replace Vandoorne for the final two races. The Heart of Racing team will return to the Rolex 24 at Daytona in GTD, fielding the number 23 Aston Martin Vantage GT3. And they've put together a really strong driver lineup with Ian James, Roman DeAngelis, Darren Turner, and Ross Gunn. IndyCar driver Colton Herta returns to the Rolex 24 at Daytona for the third time, but this time around he won't be driving for the factory BMW Team RLL team in GTLM. Herta is shifting his focus to GTD with the number 96 Turner Motorsport BMW M6 GT3. He'll be joined by full season drivers Bill Oberlin and Robbie Foley, then Aiden Reed, who signed on with Turner for the endurance races. And we're almost at the end of our program. We'd truly appreciate it if you took 5 minutes after the show and join our Patreon. Share our page with your followers. We are very transparent with your investment in Grit Network, and we truly appreciate Colin, our first Patreon supporter. Have your name on our program, and you can click on a link in the video description below to join our Patreon. Looking at the broadcast schedule for the upcoming week: Wednesday, Grit Tonight to discuss the latest racing news. Thursday, the women racing to win with Joe and Daniel from Racers, the girls behind the helmet. Saturday, Grit Live News, noon Eastern. Latest news reports and discussions about the world of racing. And we invite you to follow us on Twitter at Grit Rankin and at Grit_WML. Be sure to check out Paul Bless and get your furry friends some goodies. For Joe Samniego, I'm Kobe Lambert from thepodiumfinish.net. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Joe Samniego here. Want to invite you to go check out Pawbliss. Pawbliss is a dog clothing and accessory company based in Austria. 10% of each of your purchases goes to helping dogs in need, whether it's homeless, sick, or ill dogs. This is one of the reasons why we support it. Kiska here is a rescue dog from rural Alaska and our Grid office dog. We care about our furry buddies, and we know you do as well. Definitely check out pawbliss.com. There's a link on the video description, and by clicking on that link, you get a 10% discount on your purchase as well.